trans women's brains are more similar to cis women's rather than cis men's, and we may have a technology that could erase trans people. Okay, I kind of exaggerated here. I'll touch on it in the last, so I hope you stick around. Anyways, yep, as the title says. So I used to think that my understanding of trans people was on point, but then I posted my last YouTube video talking about India's Transgender Amendment Bill 2026 that says that people can no longer self-identify as trans. And in that video, I talked about how I think reducing trans people to their biology, like what genitalia do they have a penis or a vagina, is kind of redundant because being trans is about the social experience. But then, some trans people commented under that video, constructively critiquing me. Constructively! There was no hate or malice, and I'm glad that they critiqued me, which is why I'm making this video right now. They mentioned that while for some people just socially transitioning is enough, for others they literally feel it from the inside that they're born in the wrong body, that even though they have a penis, their brain is a female brain. Basically, gender dysphoria. So gender dysphoria means when your gender that you have chosen for yourself doesn't align with your sex assigned at birth. For instance, you could be a boy who likes to grow his hair long or put on a nail paint or wear skirts. And that's all I thought it was, that people who didn't want to become quote-unquote a man just because they've got a penis become trans. And while this is true for some, it's not true for all. One of them shared an interesting insight about trans people's brain anatomies being similar to the gender they identify with rather than their biological sex. Meaning that trans women, people who are born with a penis, who now identify as a woman, have similar brain anatomy to a woman born with a vagina rather than fellow penis holders, which I found quite interesting, so I decided to dig further. I read like these two research articles at PubMed, highly credible since they're Medline indexed, and honestly, they were so scientific and academic, and as somebody from a liberal arts background who hasn't touched a science book since finishing 10th grade, I don't think I understood it all. But here's what I gauged. Male and female brains have certain little differences. For example, the hippocampus being bigger in females than males, and also some differences with our white matter, gray matter, etc. So some researchers have found that the white matter and gray matter concentration in trans women and trans men's brains is similar compared to their cis counterparts. The research also mentioned that during pregnancy, a fetus's sexual organs are developed before their brain. The brain only starts getting developed in the 3rd trimester, and at that time, exposure to certain hormones result in the formation of a male, female, or a mix of both brain. For instance, a fetus could have formed a vagina, but in the 3rd trimester, it got exposed to androgen, the male hormone responsible for reproductive development and the development of secondary sexual characteristics in men, and therefore resulting in the formation of a male brain. However, it's also important to note that some trans people studied in this research had already gone through gender-affirming care and hormone therapy, and there's a very limited data and literature that we have on this subject. Further research needs to be done, and while there have been researchers that have supported the facts I just mentioned, that there have also been researchers that concluded there being no similarities between trans women and cis women's brains or trans men and cis men's brains. Regardless, I think this perspective opens us up to what exactly gender dysphoria means and what exactly it means when people say they're born in the wrong body. Now, in my previous video, I did not talk about gender dysphoria because I did not want to reinforce this belief that true trans people are only those that have medically transitioned, as the right wing likes to claim, because here's the thing, the right wing does respect, some of them at least, like Piers Morgan, they do respect people who have medically transitioned.
My opinion is there are two genders, male and female. Sometimes you're not lucky enough to be born into the right one, so you transition into the one that you suit the most.
Which seems to me eminently sensible, and I have complete respect for people that do that. It's not an easy process, physically, psychologically, emotionally, or any of those things. I salute you for your common sense.
Right? It's just the people who have socially transitioned that they like to call Delulu and whatnot. But I also didn't mention it because In my understanding, this discomfort with your biological body came because it kept reminding you that this social experience, this gender that you have chosen for yourself, isn't natural to you. Like, I remember in my first year of college, I attended this online seminar by a trans man of Indian origin based in New Zealand, working in a medical field. And he said that every month, whenever he would get periods, he would succumb to such depression where he would want to himself. And at that time too, I understood gender dysphoria as this biological experience that ran contrary to his social experience of being a man. Because see, bleeding and having a menstrual cycle are like the traditional hallmarks of being a woman, because we are always reduced to your ability to give birth. And so when you're bleeding, it's like your body is telling you that yes, you'll never be a true man because you're bleeding. That means you're a woman. So the way I understood it, like, it's not so much about wanting the male body as is the distress about what the current female body represents. And to me, the way I understood it was that if society did not have societal codes on how people with vagina must act or how people with a penis must act, if people could just be however they wanted, they would not hate their body and they would not be experiencing such distress. But now, as I'm learning more, perhaps there is like a biological component, like the brain formation that I mentioned before, or something else. And I would do anything but be an irresponsible content creator that spreads misinformation, which is why I'm making this video. And see, that's the thing when you're talking about politics, right? Because your words have the power to influence people and to shape the world around you. That could affect minorities, which is why it's so important to always take responsibility whenever you say something ignorant. And finally, culminating to the last argument in this video. So while researching, I watched this YouTube video made by a trans woman talking about, why are people trans? And she made a very interesting but also very obvious point. Like, why do we care so much about the know-how of trans people? Like, we don't have similar level of debates and discussions for the existence of cis people. That's because we believe that cis people are this default and trans people are these anomaly that needs to be studied, that we need to find the root cause or like the exact biological gene that's responsible for trans people. And she also mentioned that, finding certain genes that could lead a person or a baby to become trans in the future can lead to trans people being targeted more. And when she said this, I remember this lecture by Professor Ann Meller on Frankenstein. So during my college years, I had Frankenstein as my syllabus. So I was watching her lecture. And in that lecture, she mentioned that in late 1990s or early 2000s, she attended a conference about stem cell engineering, and University of California, Los Angeles was at the forefront of it. So basically, in that conference, people proposed that stem cell engineering and gene altercation could help the humanity to make like perfect human beings. And through this technology, they could eliminate DNA that causes genetic diseases, and they could also eliminate DNA that causes mental disorders like bipolar. And as Professor Ann said, like, okay, there goes Virginia Woolf, there goes Van Gogh. And in this current transphobic world where so many people already think that being trans is a mental disorder, finding out the specific gene or DNA that could predispose a person to being trans amidst this newly evolving technology is scary. Anyways, in my previous video, I also did some generalizations where I said that, you're born with a penis, but if you like to wear skirts or like put on a nail paint, you may identify as a woman. Or like you're born with a vagina, but if you're into traditionally masculine hobbies like being a car mechanic, plumber, or you want to muscle up, you may identify as a man. I did not mean that men cannot paint their nails or wear skirts, or that women cannot be into traditionally masculine hobbies, that you have to transition to enjoy these hobbies. I did that overgeneralization, to have the explanation very simple and very clear, And B, because y'all's attention span scares me. Like, I was like, if I keep giving on this disclaimer that, it doesn't mean that you have to transition, you guys would click away. You would be like, get straight to the point.